Preparing for the arrival of a newborn can be so overwhelming and stressful, particularly if you are a first-time parent. So in today's video, I'm going to talk you through some newborn essentials, and not the extra things or the nice-to-haves, but the actual essential things that you need to get through the first few months with your newborn baby. If you're new here, hi, I'm Chrissy. I recently became a mom of two. I've got a 4-year-old and a newborn baby, and I love to inspire other moms and dads on their parenting journeys as well. So I'm going to start with the obvious things. You're going to need nappies, you're going to need wipes, and you're going to need some basic care things. So for nappies, you're going to want to start with the smaller sizes. Based on the size of your baby, they might grow out of things really quickly. You can start with a size 0 or a size 1. It really depends on the size of your baby. But what I would recommend is that you really look into how to properly put on a nappy. You want to be adjusting the elastic around the legs so that you try to avoid any leakage as much as possible. But in those first few weeks especially, know that there are going to be a few leaks here and there. When it comes to wipes, water wipes are probably the best. You can find these available with so many brands and they can be quite affordable. There are so many different options to choose from. I would urge you to choose something that is as kind and gentle on your baby's skin as possible, and water wipes tend to be the best option for that. When it comes to bathing care, it's quite simple. You're going to need a shower gel. This can be for hair and body. I will also encourage you to get a kind of baby oil, especially if your baby has cradle cap. But you can even use something natural like coconut oil or almond oil if you have these available at home. And also bum cream. Bum cream is very important. Babies tend to get rashes a lot, and so you definitely want to have that available. You might even want to get 2 of these just to have one in your travel bag and one at home. But of course, it's up to you. Going with the obvious things, of course, you're going to need some kind of clothes for your baby. First of all, don't go overboard. Babies grow so fast. They will outgrow the newborn things within a couple of weeks, so don't buy too many 0-month ones so that you can try to prolong their wear as much as possible and save money as well. So my best recommendation for clothes would be to avoid anything that closes at the back and anything that goes overhead. Babies are so fragile and they're really hard to move around, and they don't have enough strength in their head, especially in those first few weeks. So you really need to be making your life as easy as possible. I'll show you a few of our favorites. So when it comes to pajamas, we love these. I made it a point this time round to get pajamas with a zipper in the front. These have a double zipper. These are from Next. The zip is so convenient. It is a 2-way zip, so you can open it from the top, or if you're just doing a diaper change, you can open from the bottom as well and just pull the legs out and change them like that. Honestly, these are really comfortable, really cozy, and very, very convenient. So I definitely recommend getting some things with a zipper. They are a little bit more pricey, but I guarantee that it makes life so much easier, especially if you have nighttime changes. When it comes to regular clothes, I really recommend that you get things with front snaps. These are from H&M and they're really sweet. I love their sets. They have 8, I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so they have 3 on the side, 2 on the inside, and then 3 snaps at the bottom. It might seem like a lot, but really it just takes a few seconds to get them all on and off. And it's so much more convenient because you can just lay the baby on and then you just pull the arms through and close everything up easily. When talking about clothes, you also want to make sure that you have some kind of head protection for your baby. So this is either a little bucket hat for when you're in the sun, or beanies for when it's cold. Babies lose a lot of heat from their head and their heads are very, very sensitive, so you definitely want to make sure that you've got some protection for them when you are going outside with them. And the last thing, kind of relating to the clothes situation, you definitely need to stock up on muslin cloths. These are basically burp cloths. People call them different things, but they're basically cloths that are going to help you wipe up any spit up, any vomit, any drool. So when it comes to muslin cloths, there are so many different sizes. We have quite a few. We have some of these small ones. These are convenient when you're like in the car or out and about and you just want something small just to keep handy, like tucked in under their neck, and just easily available and really, really easy to fit anywhere because they're so small. But then my personal favorite is the ones that are this size. Is about 60 by 60 or 70 by 70. Anything bigger than this feels like a nuisance, to be honest. It's just so big. In fact, we have a few bigger ones. We use them as bedding. We don't swaddle. We don't use them as cloths for spit up or anything because they're just so big. So this is a really good size. This one is by Baby Ono. It comes in a set of 3. I love the pattern. It's really pretty. And yeah, so this is a good size. These are 40 by 40, so they're a little bit too small. I would say anything in between these 2 sizes is perfect. You can find these available across different budgets, so see what works for you, but definitely stock up on a few of them. Moving away from the clothes and textiles, let's talk about some other essentials that will really make your life so much easier when handling your newborn. So the next thing I'm going to mention is a snot sucker. This is our snot sucker. It was a cheap one that I got from a drugstore. You will find some really fancy, expensive ones. You don't need to be going all out. All the things that I'm going to mention here today, we found relatively low budget versions because some things are just ridiculously expensive and they don't need to be. So this is our snot sucker. Babies are very, very snotty. They sneeze a lot, just to let you know. And sometimes there's a lot of like boogers that are stuck way back there, and having a snot sucker just makes it so much easier. With our first baby, we had that like little suction one that you just squeeze, but it is nowhere near efficient as a snot sucker. All you have to do with these is you basically just stick this into the nostril and then you're gonna suck it up. There is a filter, so you're not going to get any snot in your mouth. It might seem really disgusting, but you're not going to get anything in your mouth. So don't worry about that. I just really definitely recommend making your life easier. When your baby is congested, it can be really, really difficult for them to feed, particularly if you're breastfeeding, because they tend to squish their face into you. And so you really want to just make them as comfortable as possible and make your life as easy as possible. So a snot sucker, I would say, is definitely the way to go. Next up is nail care. Babies have razor sharp nails that grow at such a rapid speed, it's ridiculous. This is a you live and you learn situation. We didn't have an electric nail file with our first baby, and it was always a real pain in the ass to take care of his nails properly. So this time we opted for an electric nail file upon many recommendations. Again, you can find these within such a wide range of budgets. I found one for 40 euros. I thought it was a bit ridiculous, so I found this. This is by Badabul or Badabule, I don't know how you pronounce it, and this was about 15 euros. I ordered it online. It's really convenient, really easy to use. You have different settings, and you just pop this on and off. It comes with a little light as well. We haven't found that particularly helpful yet. I never do his nails in the dark, so maybe that's why. But yeah, and you can use this for so many years, because I've even started using it on my 4-year-old son with one of the different settings, and I promise it just makes life so much easier when you have something like this. Next, let's talk about baby carriers. Baby carriers are, in my opinion, an absolute must, especially if you have a very clingy baby, which, let's face it, most babies are, and B, if you have another child as well. You need hands available, and babies like to be snuggled and held and comforted with contact. So having a carrier is going to make your life so much easier. There are so many different types. I started with a wrap, which we use so much and it's so helpful. We also got a carrier like this, which is a clip-on. This one is by Boba and this one is by Baby Tula. I will make a separate video talking about the pros and cons of each of these. It's too much to go into now. I want to stick to the essentials, just kind of stay on topic. But honestly, we use both of them, and if I had to choose just one, I would probably say to use this, just because it's more efficient and quicker to get on and off, particularly if you're traveling, because this one tends to just kind of flap around and take a bit longer to get on. But otherwise, love them both, use them both very regularly, and I definitely recommend that you have at least one kind of carrier. You also want to think about whether you want baby to eventually be front facing or just facing you, whether you can carry on your back. So do a little bit of research before you purchase whatever carrier you choose, because they are quite expensive and you don't want to end up needing to buy a load of them, because once you buy them you usually can't return them. So really do your research on that, because it's a lot of money to spend. Next up on the list is a baby bouncer. When you cannot be holding your baby on you, you need to have a safe place to put them down, and I'm going to talk about a crib soon, but you also need a place where they can sit a bit more upright, something a little bit more interactive than just laying down. And this is somewhere that you're going to keep them when you're having a shower, getting dressed, cooking, eating, just to have somewhere safe to keep them, that you can buckle them in but still be interacting with them and have them everywhere in the house with you. Again, I know I'm sounding like a broken record here, but you can find such a vast range of budgets for these things. There are some that are 30 to 60 euros and there are some that are 200 to 400 euros. You don't need to be spending that much. I know they're cute, I know they're very aesthetic, but to be honest, some of the ones that I looked at that are higher end and on a much higher budget are actually far less functional than the one that we got, which cost about 60 euros. Ours is by Kindercraft. It is beautiful, very aesthetic, very much our personal style. It's really comfortable. You can have it on a bouncing setting and you can have it static. And it also comes with a sun shield that has an inbuilt net so that we can keep him outside and make sure that he's safe from the sun. It is UV protected and also safe from bugs. So I really recommend something like that. By the way, just so you know, I have created an Amazon list for this. You can find it in the description below. Some of the items are not exactly what I have, but they're similar or close enough, just so that you can get an idea. And if you want to be buying them online, you can go ahead and check them out there. Moving on to the sleeping now, you need to have a crib. It doesn't need to be anything fancy, it doesn't need to be anything expensive, but you definitely need somewhere for baby to be sleeping safely. If you are placing your baby down to sleep at any point in time during the day or at night, you need to have something safe. So I would recommend getting a crib, whether you want to have a next to me style crib, which is a bedside crib and the side can come down, or if you want to have another crib that is going to be like a longer term thing, maybe it can turn into a toddler bed. Do your research. This is one of the really overwhelming ones. My personal recommendation would be that if you can find something with wheels on it, definitely get that, or if you can add wheels on, just so that if your baby is sleeping in one room and you prefer to be next to them, you can just carry them around with you wherever you go. Kind of like the ones that you get in hospital. I think it's really convenient. Ours doesn't have, ours is actually really hard to move around, so I do feel a little bit stuck when having to place him down asleep when I'm not in the room. So I would really recommend getting something that has wheels. Next up, let's talk about bath time. So we talked briefly about the bath care essentials, but let's talk about the actual bath. We opted for the Snuggle this time round. I love this bath. I really recommend it. This was actually recommended to us, and I can see why. The tub that we had for our first baby, I really didn't like it. I didn't find it protective at all. I felt very nervous about bath time because my baby wasn't safe enough inside it. I would always have to support him with my arm and then wash him with the other hand, and it just really didn't feel safe or supported for him at all. Whereas this, what I really love about it is, first of all, it has this, which is kind of like a non-slip kind of material, and it's also very smooth, so it's not harsh on baby skin at all. And more importantly, it has this. This stops your baby from sliding down. Of course, you need to be supporting them anyway, but by having this, it makes them more comfortable and more safe. So I definitely recommend finding a tub, if not the Snuggle itself, something that has this kind of seating protection in it and also non-slip. We do also add a little towel in here when we're washing him, just so that he has a little bit of extra elevation and a bit more comfort. But otherwise, I love this bathtub and I would recommend it over and over again. And the last item on the essentials list is a very small thing, but a very important thing. This is a night light. You need to have some kind of light at night where when you're waking up for feeds or changes, it's not too bright that it might wake the baby up or that it's going to disrupt you, because you need to be going back to sleep as well. But it just needs to be something that's still dim but bright enough to let you see what you're doing. You can either get one of those that you press on and off, or you can have an actual plug-in night light. That's what we've opted for. So there's always enough light in the room so that we can see what we're doing at any point, and we don't need to be switching anything on or off. I personally recommend that. There are people who prefer to have something that you switch on and off specifically when you need it. See what you prefer, it's entirely up to you. Now, I'm not quite done yet. Let's talk a little bit about feeding. So of course, when it comes to feeding, it depends a lot on what your feeding situation is, whether you're breastfeeding, bottle feeding, or both. If you are breastfeeding, you need... Okay. So as I was saying, when it comes to feeding, this depends a lot on the type of feeding that you are doing. So whether it's breastfeeding, bottle feeding, expressing, a combination, I don't know. It depends so much on your actual situation. I exclusively breastfeed. I do sometimes collect milk, and we do sometimes bottle feed. So I don't have a lot of advice when it comes to bottle feeding, but what I definitely can say is choose bottles that don't come with so many bits, because it is such a nightmare to be cleaning them. There are bottles that come in like 6 pieces, and there are bottles that come in 3 pieces. You want to be making your life as easy as possible right now, so definitely opt for the bottles that come with the least amount of parts as possible. This is going to make your life so much easier when it comes to cleaning them, assembling them, disassembling them, whatever. You just really don't need the extra stress and like a gazillion bottle pieces to be dealing with. Also, you need to make sure that your bottles are being cleaned well, so you need to have a good bottle brush. This is a brush that you will only use for your baby's bottles, and I would also recommend getting a drying rack just for the baby's things. And aside from that, I would say this is a nice to have and not a must have. A microwave sterilizer is quite convenient to use, but again, not a must have, because you can just use a good old pot and get the job done. But if you prefer to have something designated just for your baby's things, you can find some really affordable microwave sterilizers as well. Something that I do quite recommend for feeding, no matter what kind of feeding you are doing, is a nursing pillow. We didn't actually get one this time. I do have my pregnancy pillow, which I use for support sometimes, but I did have a nursing pillow the first time round, and I do kind of miss it. You can end up pretty uncomfortable when you're feeding. Baby can end up in weird positions as well. So I would recommend getting a nursing pillow. I wouldn't label this as a must-have, but it's definitely a nice to have. And speaking of nice to have, so I'm going to move away from the essentials, but talk about other things that you will find recommended a lot. I don't think that they are absolute must-haves, like you're not gonna get by without them, but they might make life a little bit more easy and comfortable. So first up is a changing pad. You don't need to have a dresser. You don't need to have an entire nursery. You don't need to have a changing pad to be changing your baby. If you cannot afford this or you don't have where to keep one for now, that's totally okay. You can just place a towel on your bed and call it a day. There are ways to get around without it, but it is definitely convenient to have something that is wipeable and sturdy and feels maybe safer and more convenient to be changing your baby on. While on the topic, there are also travel changing pads. Again, if you don't have a travel changing mat, you can just keep a towel with you wherever you go. But again, having something wipeable that's easy to pack away and doesn't take up much space is very convenient. Speaking of traveling, let's talk about diaper bags. These are one of those things where they're so beautiful and they're so tempting and they're so pricey. I was gifted mine by my sister. She gave it to me because her kids were grown up and she didn't need it anymore. You are also given a diaper bag as part of a collection when you're getting your travel system or whatever you choose. So sometimes you might get that for free, sometimes they're not great, sometimes they're brilliant, but you can really use any kind of backpack at all. So you don't need anything fancy, you don't need anything specific, but having a bag with separate sections and particularly an insulated section for your bottles or anything you might need to keep warm or cool is convenient. So a diaper bag, again, is not an essential, but definitely a nice to have. Speaking of diapers, a diaper bin is also a nice to have in your nursery. You could just put your dirty nappies in bags and in the regular bin, but we prefer not to because they stink and we don't want to be using extra plastic bags for each nappy because it's very wasteful. So we do have a diaper bin. It's really great at keeping the smell out. These are really convenient to have. Again, you find different budgets, different types. I personally recommend getting one that you can use regular bin bags with so that you don't also need to be getting particular liners or particular bags or whatever it is. You can just use regular bin bags and that makes your life easier as well, and you'll always have somewhere easy and convenient to just pop the nappy in and not worry about the smell sticking around. Another nice to have are bibs. Like I mentioned earlier, babies drool a lot, they spit up a lot, and things can get really messy, especially in those first few weeks. You're going to be changing clothes all the time. So having a bib might give extra protection. We have some, we don't use them, to be honest. I just find them really annoying around his neck. It's also something else to be thinking of, so I just don't really use them, but some people use them all the time. So again, this is a personal preference, not an essential, but a nice to have. Next up on the nice to have list is hooded towels. Hooded towels are basically towels with a hood. I've got one here that I can show you. They are super cute. You'll find a lot that are very expensive. They don't need to be expensive. Don't spend money unnecessarily. But you can find some really simple ones. These are convenient because after bath time you can just like pop them on your baby's head and have their head nice and warm and get their hair dry easily. But if you don't have these, or if you can't afford these, or if you don't want to be getting anything extra, you can use your own towels. That's totally fine. Just make sure that you're washing them with the right detergents so that they are gentle on your baby's skin. Something else that's really great to have are some toys. You don't need a lot of toys for babies, especially newborns. They can't do much, they just sit there. But I do recommend having maybe some high contrast or sensory books. And if you can find these with a clip, that's even better because you can carry them around with you. You can clip them in front of the car seat, you can clip them on the pram, you can just kind of hang them around. Sometimes we just hang ours on one of our chairs while the baby's in the bouncer to kind of keep him entertained while I'm cooking or something if he's a bit fussy. But yeah, you don't need to be getting many toys, but if you are to get something, I would recommend getting something easy and soft with a clip. The last item on the list is some baby blankets and or sleep sacks. We don't don't personally really use sleep sacks, but we do use blankets. Obviously, you need to make sure that you are using them safe and never have the baby's face or hands covered so they can't pull the blanket up on themselves by mistake. So yeah, definitely look into some safety tips for that, particularly when baby is sleeping. But we love using blankets for our baby. But there are many people who prefer to use a sleep sack, and that totally makes sense as well. Somewhere along the way while filming this video, I realized that I actually forgot to mention a very important absolute essential, which is of course your travel system. You need to have a car seat if you have a car. I do recommend that you get a stroller. There are so many options to choose from when it comes to this, and I would really urge you to do a lot of research and to browse around as much as possible. We made a big mistake when it came to choosing our travel system. I actually talked about this in a video about baby purchases that I regretted making. We chose a very expensive 3-in-1 travel set, and pretty much from the beginning I regretted getting this, but we paid for it, we had it, that's what we used, that's what we are using this time, and still this time round I wish that we had made different choices. It is bulky, it is heavy, you cannot open or close it easily, you do need 2 hands, and it is like a bit awkward and difficult to open it at the right angle and even to close it, so it's not so convenient to use. So I would really encourage that you do some research, see what's available on the market. Don't just get something because it's pretty. Look around, get opinions, maybe again see if you can borrow something from someone so that you can try different things. But my personal advice would be to find something that is fairly light and easy to open and close and move around with. So that brings us to the end of this video. If there's anything that you think I've missed, go ahead and let me know in the comment section below. And other than that, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you the best of luck with your new baby. You're gonna be great, and congratulations. I will see you guys in my next video. Until next time, bye!